So you're ready to jumpstart your BMX journey? Well, you're in luck because in this video, we're gonna cover 6 tricks that every beginner should start with. And the best part about it, you can do these anywhere, right out your front door, in a parking lot, or on a flat space just like this. Welcome back to Joy of Bike, I'm Mike.
I'm Chase, and I'm stoked you found this video because it's the one I wish I had when I started my BMX journey 4 years ago.
And the best part is we've already covered each of these skills individually if you need a more in-depth look, and we've put links to those videos down in the episode description down below.
Mastering these skills will make you a great bike rider because they lay the foundation for every other trick that you'll learn moving forward.
So let's get into it.
Now we're going to kick things off by talking about the bunny hop. Now this is the first skill on our list because a good bunny hop makes every other trick that much easier. It's also a good time to start getting comfortable with getting the bike off of the ground. We're going to begin by setting the bike to the side and practicing a plyometric jump. Now a plyometric jump is this. We'll squat down, apply a ton of energy into the ground, explode upwards, and at the peak of our jump, tuck our legs into our chest. This is essentially the same exact powerful motion that we'll do on the bike. Now we'll apply that same plyometric jump motion to the bike. The only difference here is we need to anchor our handlebars with our strong arms so that they can find our lap as we explode upwards. Once we reach the peak of our hop, we'll do that same tuck motion with our legs to level the bike out. Once you're getting off the ground consistently, the next step is to start hopping over small and easy to knock over objects. This is how you start developing a sense of timing and control.
Like the bunny hop, the manual is a fundamental skill on the BMX bike you're gonna find yourself using pretty frequently, whether it's to link lines, to build speed, or just impress your friends. This skill is also great because the more you practice it, the more bike control and awareness you're going to end up having. The manual relies on a pivot point, which is your rear axle. To really take advantage of this pivot point, we're going to utilize leverage. And to do that, we are going to gently shift our weight backwards as we're traveling at a little more than a walking pace. Although it may seem counterintuitive, the best way to learn how to manual is to learn how to loop out. And the way we're going to do that is by shifting our weight backwards, extending our legs for leverage, and pushing the bike out from underneath us. As our front end ends up getting too high, we're just gonna bail off the back and walk out of it. We're gonna learn it this way for 2 reasons. First one being it's gonna help us identify where the balance point is, and the second one is because no matter how good you get at manuals, you're always going to loop out. So understanding how to loop out safely is going to save our butts, literally. As you get comfortable with looping out, you're going to gradually taper the energy back that you're putting into that loop out motion. Use a little less leverage with your legs, shift your weight back a little less far, and ultimately what this is going to do is it's going to help you find that balance point. Once you find that balance point and begin to lock in manuals, use parking lot lines or cones or something you can set on the ground like rocks to help you gauge the distance of your manuals. Setting up challenges for yourself is a great way to progress while you're learning how to manual. My personal rule of thumb is that I need to complete distances that I set 3 times in a row before I move on to my next goal.
Riding forward is great, but riding backwards adds a whole new level of interest and fun in your BMX journey. The Fakey is a super approachable skill that can be practiced anywhere. Start by gently pressing your front wheel into a curb, ledge, or a wall, absorbing that impact and using it to spring backwards. As you start rolling in reverse, time the rhythm of your backwards pedal strokes to match that speed so you don't get stuck up in your cassette. Practice rolling backwards while staying centered over the bike. Once comfortable, start practicing the turnout. Shift your weight towards your back foot and apply pedal pressure with your front foot to start pivoting out. Remember to look where you want to go and your bike and body will follow. Just like the manual, it's good to start challenging yourself to different distance goals. And the next step in this progression is to start taking the Fakey to small obstacles like a bank or a quarter pipe.
The natural progression from learning how to Fakey is the 180, and we suggest learning the 180 on flat ground first before taking it to any sort of ramp. The easiest way to learn the 180 is rolling at a little bit more than a walking pace, and as you initiate your bunny hop, you want to look with your head and shoulders in the direction you want to spin. If you don't know what direction that is, typically most riders spin to their back foot. This isn't a requirement, so do what feels best to you. The key to a predictable 180 is not leading with a forced carve. We avoid this by leading with our head and shoulders as we initiate that bunny hop, which creates what we call a natural carve. As your 180 comes around, you're going to land in a fakie. For best results, what you want to do is aim to land with both tires nearly at the same time, with your pedals parallel to the ground, so you're not over anticipating that backwards pedal and you're able to roll out smoothly.
Now we're moving away from the flat ground and into the skate park with the disaster. Now this is a natural progression from the 180, but it requires a quarter pipe. In fact, we can think of this trick like a fly at 180 with the goal of our back wheel landing on the deck and our front wheel landing in the face of the ramp. Find a 3 to 4 foot quarter pipe and start practicing fly at 180s to identify the correct speed to land on the deck backwards. When it comes to the disaster itself, as your front wheel reaches the coping or the top of that ramp, pull back, spin, and aim to land with your bottom bracket just behind the coping. For best results, both tires should hit at the same time and you'll feel your bike lock into place. To re-enter the quarter pipe, gently shift your weight forward and make sure you keep looking where you want to go. Once you get comfortable with the ramp that you're learning on, be sure to quickly take this to other ramps and get comfortable with them as well. Don't be surprised if bigger ramps end up feeling a little bit easier, as those ramps might end up doing more of the work for you.
Moving on to one of my favorite skills when it comes to riding BMX, airing quarter pipes. I'm confident you're gonna feel the same way as me with a little bit of practice. This feeling is like no other. Start by riding at the face of the quarter pipe with enough speed to fly out onto the deck. Once we have that speed figured out, we're ready to start learning how to air. We want to start approaching the quarter pipe at a slight angle. This is going to allow us to create that arc instead of forcing a 180. As we get to the top of the ramp or the coping, we want our front tire to slightly bump off of that to use as much of the ramp as possible. Now that we're off of the ramp, we need to start preparing to absorb the impact when we make contact. Again, we want to aim to land both tires at the same time, and as you progress, the goal is to start landing front to back on the quarter pipe face. The key to consistent and higher quarter pipe airs is actually pretty simple. Like we just talked about with our front tire making contact with the coping, as we get more practice, the end goal is to have both tires, front and back, make contact with the coping. This ensures that you're using the entirety of the quarter pipe, which means that you're working less hard while the ramp is doing the majority of the heavy lifting. And before we get into wrapping this video up, here's a quick pro tip to air a little bit higher. This is something that I often see overlooked, and again, it's something that's very simple. So as we're using the entire face of the quarter pipe to air higher, what we want to do is pull our bars back into our lap, essentially anchoring them there. What this does is it allows us to continue the natural radius of the quarter pipe, which results in a higher air. The best way to get good at airing out of quarter pipes is to practice on as many quarter pipes as you can with the tips we just discussed. Each quarter pipe is a little bit different, so there's always something to learn.
If you're new around here, something that we like to do to close out these videos is a little bit of a joyride that involves whatever skill we're talking about today.
And since we talked about so many different skills in this video, Chase and I decided it'd be a fun way to close this out by each doing a line that involves each of the skills we talked about in today's video in our own style. So I hope you enjoy today's joyride.
We are stoked that you're here and that you're getting into BMX. You're tapping into an incredibly fun and creative community.
And we're really grateful that you're here hanging out with us on this video. If you enjoyed this one, we'd really appreciate if you subscribe to the channel because we have a ton of really fun BMX content coming your way in the near future. We'd also greatly appreciate if you could cruise down and hit the like button. It helps other people just like you see this content and learn right alongside of you. I'm also really curious, because I'm kind of a bike nerd, what kind of bike are you riding? Let us know down in the comments below. And with all that being said, I just want to say thank you guys so much for cruising with us today. It was an absolute pleasure. Now get out there and have your own joyride. Later.
Whoa, okay, before we get out of here, we have some other awesome BMX tutorials already on the channel that didn't quite make it into this video, like how to drop in and how to jump. So if you're interested in either of those, click on one and we'll see you over there. Till next time, thank you guys for being here. We'll see you on the next joyride.